Hey, Mr. Stewart, John, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So we connected because of my interest, my recent interest in this alien topic, the UFO, the UAP subject. Before we get kind of deep into that, which I hope to do you mind just telling me a little bit about yourself and why it's maybe appropriate for me to be going into this subject with you?
Sure. I'm 58 years old. I'm from Chicago. I live in the North Shore of Chicago right now. I did not have the typical ufologist background. I was an athlete my whole life, lived this crazy, wild life as a high school, college, semi-pro football player. I got into the world of professional wrestling my freshman year in college. The wrestling, the WWF
Yeah, it's amazing.
stuff
Right.
you
I
see on
saw that in
TV.
your
Yeah.
bio. I said, wait,
Yeah,
what?
I was a junior in college wrestling for the light heavyweight championship of the world on ESPN. I mean, and flying home and going back to college on Monday, walking to class, and I
Wow.
just lived a bizarre life. I'm very grateful of that, by the way. And had it has fared me well in my alien investigation, which I'm sure we'll get into. And I wrestled on and off until 2008. But before then, I was in and out of the family car business and finally decided to get into it full time as my body was taking a toll. And I just retired about 3 years ago at 56 and still in the business world, the stock market, real estate, the automobile business. And without getting too ahead of ourselves, it was 2019 that this crazy, bizarre documentary from 1997 was coming to the forefront of my conscious, of my brain, of
Mhm.
my daily thoughts. And I don't know why it was bothering so. It has bothered me my whole life, by the way, just to let everyone know. The first time I saw it, I said, from what I knew from Hollywood and video production, I said
Mhm.
something is not right with this video. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's fake or not. Something is not right.
Right.
And in 2019, it had bothered me so much and tickled my alpha male personality of charge forward, accomplish, kill, destroy, conquer, that I
Confront.
couldn't, confront. I could not get it out of my brain. And I'm just being extremely analytically and emotionally and honest with your listeners and viewers. And one day I sat in my car in 2019 on the driveway and I started like a fool to investigate the truth, and your viewers need to know this, the truth, whether it be hoax or not, or a psyop or whatever, of this bizarre, very unprofessional, very non-rehearsed 3 minute interview of an alleged extraterrestrial at an underground facility south of Area 51. And it's been 7 years, and $30,000 later, my
Mhm.
phone has been electronically encouraged by the government, by United States Intel. So says maybe about 20 people in government and in the military and contractors. It's been an amazing run. We're still not completely sure of the provenance of this film, as crazy as that sounds, but rest assured, we are 1,000% sure that the government filmed it, whether it was a hoax psyop or whether it was an actual extraterrestrial. Well, maybe always will be floating out there as the truth until we find the puppet or the alien floating in formaldehyde. And
So the
and
verdict is still out.
Well, yeah, and I hope people can appreciate that. Like, well, how could you spend $30,000 in 7 years of your time and not ram home a declarative statement on the veracity of the video? Because I'm a truth teller and I tell the
Mhm.
truth and I'm
Right.
honest,
Right.
and I'm honest to say that, look, I don't have that puppet in somebody's garage, which is scary that no one came forward as the FX person, and I don't have that alien in formaldehyde. And somebody
Mhm.
from the government has not told me, like a uniform or an elected official serving in the government, that that is real and that
Mhm.
is not. 20 intel people and military contractors and military people have all said it's real. But still, I have to be a journalist and intellectually honest and say that I cannot definitively declare that that alien that we see is authentic or not. And I really hope people appreciate that, because as soon as they see most people see my face, they see the video, it's hoax, fake, this
Mm,
bald crazy guy. You know, it is what one journalist called. He said, John, you are going to suffer this for the rest of your time doing this investigation, because if there is a possibility that that being is real, and this is a great quote, it's 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 almost impossible for the general public to metabolize this yet, right? We it's
that's
too
the
hard.
quote going around on UFO Twitter these days. Is like, the truth is indigestible.
Oh, is that right?
That's
That's
one of
interesting.
the phrases I see going
That's
around right
interesting because I was
now.
told this a year ago, and it's funny, stuff that I put out gets reformulated. That whatever. I'm not going to
Yeah.
go into it,
Hmm.
but I thought it was a great quote, and I won't even say the journalist who told me this, but it was great. He's like, it's just too hard for anyone to metabolize. Wait a minute, we are that's because if that is a living alien, and I'll stop here, if that's an actual extraterrestrial, then that film, that 3-minute film, becomes more important and maybe the most important historical document in human history, because it
Right.
answers one of two questions. Are we alone, and where do we go when we die? Well, we don't know that yet, but we certainly know that we're not alone. So
Mm,
a lot of ramifications are and outcomes are riding
right. I
on this
mean,
video,
this
but
is
we can prove beyond almost of a shadow of a doubt that the government did film this. And I say, if
mhm,
it's an extraterrestrial, who cares? We all know aliens are a reality. If
right.
you're using my tax dollars, and I worked my ass off in my life, and so did my family, my father, my friends, and you're using my tax dollars to create a Sesame Street video, and I say that tongue in cheek because
Hmm.
it's a great hoax.
Hmm.
You're using my tax dollars to mimic and create a fake alien to test the waters of how the public will react. I have a fundamental problem with that,
Right.
as a
There's going to be
politician,
some
as a
shit,
yes.
sir.
Yeah, you're
You
you're
know,
using my money for like
yeah.
for foolish measures.
That's a
Yeah.
little worse than taxation without representation.
Absolutely. I'd rather. I'm not even going to get into. You're 100% correct.
So let's back up for a second and tell people who
Yeah.
don't know what video we're talking about. I'm aware because I've been generally interested in this question, this subject, for a couple of years now. I could tell you two quick reasons why in the last year and a half I became a little more interested in it. But I am aware through my general perusing of, I believe this is the video where you see the figure, the being, and it's looking like it's in distress, and there's like a light going right. Is this the one?
It's
Like a ping
correct.
pong
Yeah.
ball looking thing.
Yeah.
Um,
This is when you see all of the CGI. And that one where it's the alien interview, an alien being interviewed, and he's laying on the bed. You could tell it's a CGI alien, and the CIA
right,
guy's talking to it.
right,
Folks,
right,
this is not it. This is,
right,
you see it on the screen, and everybody goes, "Wait, whoa, what is this? Looks like a film. Like it's like you're there, like closed
right,
circuit camera,
right,
motion picture camera, and it's medics in short sleeve scrubs, not pressurized suits to hype up the validity of like, oh, this is a real alien.
right,
There's a stool in front of the alien, the table that the alien is sitting at. There's a bizarre physiological monitor. We think a physiological monitor with a green blip which is called a trace, that does not go horizontally across the screen. It goes up and down on the screen. And it seems to be in sync with the coughing in distress, because this being, about a minute into the film, starts to have a respiratory attack, or a cardiovascular, or a cardiac situation. And the monitor starts going more and more erratic as the being is gasping and coughing. And you have two military people in the foreshadows that sometimes you see their shoulders. You see one of them pick up a phone to obviously contact the medics to come into the biosafety level interview suite. It's bizarre. It doesn't make sense. Nothing about this video makes sense. If it's a
mm,
hoax, it is the worst
brilliant.
hoax using the best alien puppet that they've ever invented since
Right.
1996, when allegedly, if it was a hoax, it was made. And that doesn't make sense. We followed the money trail. That doesn't make sense.
Mhm.
The layers of this, of who might be involved from ufology, from government, this is becoming, and I don't care what anybody says, this is becoming and will be a number one Netflix docuseries. I am telling you the twists and turns in this that
Mm.
have happened in happenstance in my life and in our investigators' lives, just with investigating this. It's remarkable. It is a cosmic who done it.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
again, the government filmed this, whether hoax or whether
Right.
psyop. And I hope people are like, oh, okay, the guy's not ramming home his version.
Right.
I have no version, folks. I have no version. I don't know for sure, but the
Wow.
government filmed this.
Wow. Well, you've explained that so perfectly and so objectively. And so we've got a whodunit, and it's either kind of a prosaic one, which is in itself fascinating and dark and
Yeah.
infuriating, or a much bigger whodunit. So let's broaden this a little bit by saying, now that I've taken an interest in the subject, that I'm probably too deep on Twitter UFO
Oh
and
boy.
the algorithm and all of that.
God
Um,
help you.
right. Thank you. Trying to grab a rock and just not let the current take me too
Yeah.
deep.
Smart
Um,
man.
yeah. But look, at the end of the day, what you have is a universe, to pun intended, of ideas here. When you start looking into this, you have all the various narratives, and it goes this way and it goes this way. And what I mean by that is, like, look, there's the extraterrestrial hypothesis, there's the crypto terrestrial hypothesis, they're hidden here, they're advanced, and so forth. There's the disembodied consciousness in a different realm, concepts of
Right.
consciousness as a field, brain's just a receiver, and
Right.
there are all these spooky entities
Sure.
interacting in that field, and Skinwalker Ranch, and the spooky and the magic and the incantations or whatever, inciting entities and orbs and light beings. I mean, the new age stuff. Then you have time traveling. Then you have um, alternate dimensions. You have angels and demons. You go, and then you go multiple species, by the way, if it's ET, and by the way, or crypto. And by the way, in every single one of those categories, you have the huge question of intent. What is the intent of this thing if there is something going on? Besides, okay, obviously, secret human tech is the other one. That's the prosaic answer. Secret human tech
Right.
for financial reasons being suppressed. That's Occam's razor, I guess. But you have the question of intent, and you have the question of fate, and like it's all very existential. And so you want to figure out what's going on here, and what are the motives for people spouting which narratives, and you have to balance that against the fact that there are magic is like an ancient tradition. So you go, geez, like when you want to look objectively at this whole universe and go, which is the right theory here to explain what I saw in the sky? I saw something extraordinary
Right.
myself.
Right.
You hear about that there's like something going on here. The one I heard today was John Keel's ultra terrestrial guy. There's ultimately a black cube in the bottom of the ocean that's generating a hologram and sending all these masks of this non-human intelligence to be a trickster like thing, and I'm going to present you with a ghost and you with a reptilian, this and that. And then of course you have government representatives like Burchett, representative from Tennessee, talking about underground alien bases. And you have Representative Luna going on Joe Rogan talking about the Book of Enoch and interdimensional beings. So
Right.
with all of that said, where do you think this goes if in fact there's something there?
Well, it's the oldest question since man has walked upright on the earth. You know, our survival, the survival of our family, and I'm talking in terms of, Neanderthal, Australopithecus, Cro-Magnon, uh, 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 Africanus robustus, every, and I'm not being Mr. Anthropologist here, but this is the oldest question in the history of any kind of living hominid, bipedal hominid on our planet, which is, how do I feed myself? How do I feed my family? How do I protect my
Mhm.
family? And what happens when we die? And I think that question, they had that even when 60,000 years ago, when somebody from their tribe passed away. And so this is the eternal question. And yes, it's complex. Of course it's complex, but it doesn't have to be a cosmic riddle that that if we can't solve entirely, and figure out its complexity, it doesn't mean that we have failed as humanity. I just simply think that
Mm,
I look at my own little world and me sitting or standing at a riverbank, and I am the dominant alpha animal on top of the food chain there at the riverbank. I can kill anything and outsmart anything. And sometimes my brethren, earth human beings, homo um, Homo sapiens sapiens. We're standing there at the riverbank. Sometimes we catch that trout. Sometimes we eat it. Sometimes we throw it back. Sometimes some of my brethren are scientific. They tag it, they track it, they try
mhm,
and help its population by helping it spawn. There are people that fight to have people not kill anything in the river, and that's a dynamic of our that we're also seeing with extraterrestrials allegedly. Why can't that be the same kind of dynamic with extraterrestrials? What makes us such egotistical creatures that we feel that we're the top of the food chain, we're the top of the pyramid on this planet or in the galaxy? I just don't have an egocentric view of that. I feel that I am part of a bushel basket of life, and
mhm,
life of all different kinds and all different functionalities and all different types of beings, with different chemical and biological and anthropomorphical makeup, whether it be amoebas in the ocean, or some type of other species that are living elsewhere. Why can't there be species that have figured out how to travel interdimensionally? Why is it
mhm,
so? And why, in all of that basket of
mhm,
species in issues or life, why isn't it also human beings from the future figuring out time travel, coming back to try and figure out a part of our human lineage and history, or our human evolution, to fix or solve an issue? Why can't it be all of that?
mhm,
We as human beings, we love to pigeonhole ourselves into we're the best, or we're the this, and we never want to step back and look at the large movie screen. We want to look through the peephole of history, and I have a fundamental issue with that, because I don't view that. I think it is everything. I think we are witnessing
mm,
at a grand scale, because it's not 1900, where I have to wait for a newspaper every morning. We're seeing things at real time, and I think it is
mhm,
all of these
mhm,
species that are interacting with us. And yes, do I believe that some event may be on the horizon that is, it's kind of like a calling card to the galaxy, like, oh, something might be happening with Earth, and it might be a grandiose, beautiful thing that might be happening. Our conscious going to another level. It might be something disastrous. Whatever it is, we don't know right now, but we do know that two things are real: that something is interacting with this planet, from the sky, from the water, from the ground, and our governments are have a tremendous amount of obfuscation about it. Those two are undeniable.
It's sobering. I mean, it's just freaking sobering. I mean, it's
Yeah.
beautiful. But it is as existential, mentally. I mean, even if I was in the shower the other day and I'm like, I'm one of these people. It's like, all right, I could be on the front lines of, hey guys, explaining it to the rest of humanity. Open your mind. At
Right.
the same time, I'm in the shower going, fuck, that would break my brain too. It just would a little bit, right? So you have to be honest and say, like, damn, like, could I handle that? But basically, what I'm
Great
hearing
point.
is,
Great point.
right, humility, hopefully, right? And
Yeah.
and so basically, what I'm hearing is, hey, look, man, this is more of the real time aspect of our modern society is kind of maybe one of the different factors here.
Yeah,
but
it's exasperating it. It's turning up the heat, so to
Mhm,
speak. It's
mhm.
making it real time as opposed to 1905. I would hear about some guy farmer in Vermont seeing a craft in the sky, and that would get to me 3 weeks later, or get to my little village or
Right.
city. Or
Fever
so.
pitch.
I'm sorry, I didn't
No,
mean
no,
to
no.
interrupt. Yeah,
No, no, no. Absolutely. Please. Fever pitch.
yeah,
And what it is, I guess, not the event, which will have potential event, which we have. I mean, we have Lou Elizondo. I mean, we have enough indicators here flashing. There's something happening. And so we have to return to that eventually. But before that, even what it is, this revelation is that we are in this larger ecosystem of life. And like your analogy with the standing at the bed of the river, maybe in this case, the river is the earth and we are the
correct,
salmon.
correct.
And
My
we have
point. Yeah.
these species, this larger thing going on. I mean, we have higher intelligences, more advanced, that are also in the universe with us, and for whatever reason have managed to, for the most part, be hidden, generally speaking. Not totally, but for some interesting reason. So there's that factor. Like, why hasn't we always just been in this disclosed world? Why has there not been? And so that becomes an interesting question too. Uh, how long have they been here? What's your take on that before we get to maybe what's coming?
Yeah, I go back to the stream, and I'll go back to a lowland gorilla in Africa. You have Jane Goodall going into the bush and being genuinely scientifically curious of these creatures, and you have poachers coming in that
Hmm.
all they want is the hands and the head for ashtrays in the open market and in Senegal or Somalia or whatever, the black trade, the black market. And so I absolutely believe that the species that are interacting with our planet have been interacting with our planet for millennia, if not for millions of years, and reconstituting life on our planet after a disaster, and maybe saving or helping parts of our planet before a disaster or a cataclysm. Maybe
Hmm.
I'm wrong about that, but I do
Hmm.
believe that the multiple species would also theoretically also bring multiple mindsets of what these species want from our planet. This might be a vacation spot, and I don't mean that to be facetious.
Hmm.
This might be a place of interest for people in the solar system and in the galaxy. Can you imagine having a hive mentality? No. No type of personality. Everything has been manila on your planet, and you have the ability to go to Earth to see this, what George Carlin called the circus act.
Hmm.
It's a three-wing circus down here. You can't tell me that it isn't. I mean, that would, to me,
You got the
I would,
WWF.
I would be right. Can you imagine? Wait, they see war in Somalia, and then in Madison Square Garden, these two men are bleeding, and then in the locker room, they're shaking hands and having a beer, and
The best
over
TV.
here, a mother is crawling through granite to save her child from a burning fire, and 5 miles over here, a mother is aborting her fetus. And I don't mean to be grotesque. Can you imagine what a higher intelligence that has erased all of our emotions would think? I would think it would be highly interesting.
Hmm.
And again, so some of these species are exploiting our resources for their own good. They're exploiting our genetic material for their own lineage. Maybe they're interested in exploiting our genetic material to make us a better human, to survive in the future, because they might know something about that. I think there are beings that are here that generally care about us, and they want to protect our planet without too much interference. I think it is a whole gamut. It is a whole it is multiple jewels in the crown of life on our planet, and for us to nitpick and like this is a cosmic smorgasbord. Oh, it can only be this or can only be that.
Hmm.
I think it's everything: galaxy, dimensional, from the Earth, extraterrestrial, terrestrial. It's the whole thing, folks. And the problem is, your government has been hiding this for over 80 years, and I understand a portion of that. I think that's why I'm still alive, and that people are not knocking on my door, and people and government agents aren't following these, because I understand, and I publicly say I understand the secrecy, that if this technology, for whatever technology that the government has garnered from these beings and their craft and their entire makeup, if that technology should get into a bad actor, a China,
Right.
a North Korea, you're talking about the end of our civilization. We have one thing that's going for us, for right or for wrong, good or bad, warts and all. The UFO phenomenon rests in the hands of democracy. And I don't mean to
Mm.
be Pollyanna here
Wow.
or Frank Capra. The UFO phenomenon right now is cradled in democracy, and democracy
Mm.
is the greatest political invention in history. It took power from the wallet and put it into on the ballot. It took it from the marketplace, that power, and put it to the polling station.
Mm.
It let a 90-year-old woman with a pen and a check mark on a ballot destroy a government in an afternoon. And that's
Mm.
democracy. And that's what's holding on to the secrecy. So I don't agree with everything the government has been doing, but I can see that they are slow dripping it. I think I am a useful idiot for the government. One of these people that are going out there and acclimating the public on, this is real. This phenomenon might be real. This phenomenon might be real. And I understand that, and I understand that that could be a role of people like me and Lou Elizondo and Jeremy Corbell and Ross and George Knapp, Avi Loeb. I understand that, and
Hmm.
but for the government to let time travel, to let how to build a nuclear bomb, how to see into the future. Do you really want 7 billion people given the ability to see into the future, to know
Right.
if their child is going to die at 10 years old, to
Mm.
know if the stock market is going to collapse, to know that when they're going to die? Or do you really want human beings to have these miraculous abilities that potentially the government does know and know
Mm.
that's possible? I get it.
Mm.
I have wrapped my mind around it. I just want the government to say, we have pilfered away all of your tax money. Here's the reason. They are real. We're not that sure of what's going on. And we've got technology that we think, if we hold it close, will save mankind, instead of letting actors like Iran or China have
Hmm.
it, which could dominate the world and take it in a direction that would be a domineering and totalitarian, oppressive planet, as instead of a democracy. So that's what people have to understand, and I'm sorry for that. And I'm sure the government. You think a 60-year-old general at the Pentagon likes that he's held this secret over his family and friends, and it's got to bother him when he plays golf. He's got to bother him when he's at a Fourth of July picnic,
Mm.
that they're carrying this terrible secret, or the miraculous benefits and scientific breakthroughs that we have garnered from extraterrestrials.
Hmm.
Nobody ever sees it in the government's viewpoint, and I'm not a government speaker. Believe me, I've been a politician. The things that I've rallied at the government, which proven in my past speeches for 25 years, I am not rah rah Johnny government. I want the government to toe the line, but I do understand why the government has obfuscated this problem, because the technology is so world changing and potentially world ending that we
Hmm.
cannot, under any circumstance, let it fall into the hands of bad actors. Period.
It's so intense, so interesting. So the deep state might actually be the good guys in one version. Not so black and white, but there's an argument. There's an argument there that what
Right.
they're doing is.
Again, right. I have to think. I ran for president of the United States for the Libertarian Party in
Mm.
2024. I am not bragging. I'm just hear out my larger statement. And I came in second place in Iowa, so I'm not some one of 1,000
Hmm.
people. I mean, I have a pedigree here, and I at one point in my life had to think for the potential of thinking for 350 million people.
Hmm.
The stuff that the government might have done in the past 80 years, murdering our scientists and other people that
Hmm.
threatened to come forward with this technology, is and this is this is going to sound so harsh, but I'm not intellectually honest if I don't say it. Are you willing to murder somebody to protect a technology that could destroy the world if it ended up in the wrong hands? Is killing one person
Sure.
the justifiable ends that meets the means of saving 8 billion people on the planet? I
Quite
don't know.
possibly.
And I'm glad I didn't have to make that decision
Right.
ever. And
Good
I don't
answer.
know this, but I bring this up not to be hyperbolic and to get views and clicks, but to just let people know that this is so much more about aliens and little green men and science personnel and lab coats and underground facilities. This is a much broader picture and a larger issue with our entire planet. And I think I understand why the government has done what they have, and I can see that they are slow dripping this information. It's coming out in drips and drabs. We are all acclimated to aliens. You have 4-year-olds now that know what a gray alien is. I mean,
Right.
that's bizarre.
Right.
So the government did their
Exactly.
job when they decided to start doing this in the 60s.
Hmm.
The acclimate public, it's called the public acclimation program. It was an actual program
Hmm.
still going on to desensitize the public. We are desensitized, and now you see this information coming out. So, and it's going to be jaw dropping. Believe me, it's going to challenge people. It's going to challenge faith. It's going to challenge belief systems. And we still live in a society where people bash each other over the head for a $10 toaster at Target on Black Friday.
Hmm.
So I'm one of those guys that personally would think we're not ready for this information for the full download. But I think that it's President Trump coming on public TV or national TV and showing pictures, possibly even a video, an HD video of a craft and a being. And I think it's time. I think it's and we don't have to show different creatures. We can show the typical gray alien. I mean, to kind of
You don't got
get
to show
us.
the mantis person.
Well, I don't want to talk about other species. I'm not allowed. Not told not to. So I don't want to be weird or anything. But
No
yeah,
problem.
show us a gray. Show us an HD thing of a craft. Maybe even show us a craft. What is the big deal? S4 south of Area 51 is in caretaker status. It's a museum. What is the big deal if we opened up one of the hangars and the Bob Lazar sport model is sitting there and we peek
Mm.
inside? I mean, God, no, nobody cares. I'm sorry. I mean, we care about NFL football and the Orange County Housewives and Wheel of Fortune and going on Twitter and Instagram, and I just don't think, especially millennials,
Mm.
they
Mm.
nobody cares anymore.
Right. So interesting. So in this, according to the theory that you're um, alluding to, not explicitly endorsing, but I guess it's fair to say would probably lean towards, is that it's all of the above. And so in the lore, without talking about other beings,
Right.
pretty much just, hey man, the full spectrum is, yeah, yeah, probably. And in that case, the whole spectrum, as you said, with the river analogy, the intent, the depth of it is profound, it's
Right.
intense, it's incredible, it's scary, it's beautiful, it's absurd, it's awesome, all of this.
Wait, listen to this guy.
Right,
Exactly. Great
right.
point. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so my question then becomes, okay, let's say we get around to digesting that. Is there a spiritual component? That's the question.
Well, I think aliens are the source code for religion. Shocking. I do, and I think extraterrestrials in the telling the public that extraterrestrials are real, I think strengthens religion rather than takes away from religion. It explains that the Bible isn't a bunch of crazy, men and women that
Mhm.
were on hallucinogenics writing these, crazy tales from the Old Testament and the Quran. And, I think it was at times misidentified technology at times, and I believe I believe aliens and spiritual beings are all made by our creator of the universe. The aliens themselves have said, yes, God is maybe not what you think God is, a white robe and a long beard, the
Mhm.
Leonardo da Vinci God.
Mhm.
But yes, there is a supreme creator of the universe. I think telling the world that would be fundamentally an enhancement for religion. Like, wow,
Hmm.
these people 5,000 years ago and 3,000 and 2,000 years ago and all the prophets, they did see a real being, whatever it is, that this
Hmm.
isn't malarkey, this isn't made
Hmm.
up fantasy. And I think it strengthens religion. And again, if there is a creator of the universe, then the creator of the universe must have created all of these types of beings or been part of that. And we remember from the Bible, when God created the universe, he smiled at the sons of God. Wait a minute. I thought there was nobody except God. Who is
Hmm.
he smiling at?
Hmm.
Even the Bible tells you there was something else before man was on earth, because it says God smiled at the sons of man and they rejoiced. So the sons of man must have been spiritual beings or sentient beings to some
Hmm.
degree. So I think it's going to strengthen religion. I really do. I think it's going to bring the planet together. As Ronald Reagan said, I so believe also that coming to find out that there's a higher intelligence and other beings, and we're part of this galactic community, I think will help to dissipate some of the smaller problems like being cut off in traffic that we rant and rave about, and make us realize there's a bigger picture than some of the nominal things that we worry about in our life. And so I think it's going to be I think it's going to be a miraculous time if we don't let it slip into something. Once human beings touch it, human beings, we about ruin everything.
Hmm.
So let's hope that it doesn't devolve into a bizarre AI integrated takeover and cause ontological shock with
Hmm.
the planet. I think we can have a seamless, to some degree, transition. And I know there's going to be questions. What do they want? What are they doing here? Where do they come from? What do you mean they come from our timeline? Well, where does this being come from? And
Hmm.
that my answer might be 100 years from now. But I think right now we need the answer. We are not alone. We've been interacting. We've been reverse engineering the biology and the metal and the crafts of these
Hmm.
beings, and the public needs to know this. And I'm President Donald Trump, and I am telling you that they are here, and they have not wiped out our planet for millennia, and we don't believe they have any intent. If it actually, what they want us to do is grow in consciousness and be a better galactic citizen. I truly believe that is the desire for many of the extraterrestrials.
So before I get to the question of tell me what you can tell me about this alleged event that everyone who's paying attention is feeling is coming. Um, so I asked about spirituality. You gave me a very interesting answer. It was not a dodge at all. Thank you for it.
You're welcome.
Follow up is telepathy, consciousness as a field, dreams being manipulated, all fair game.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Y- we are a highly intelligent species that is in this Cro-Magnon body and mentality, if that makes sense.
Mm,
It's like me sitting in front of this computer that I just bought at Best Buy, but I'm playing Atari or video pong or EA Sports Golf. I mean, I'm not using this computer for what for its entire capacities, and sometimes we don't have the ability to do that. And that is, I think, something that human beings
mhm,
um are wrestling with, and I think they have wrestled with for millennia, for forever, since we've had consciousness, which is, I need to go kill this saber-toothed tiger, I need to feed my tribe in the cave. But what happened when I put my head down on the fur and
mhm,
went to bed? I saw something. What is that? What is going on? What is in the sky? Why does the sun do this?
mm,
And why did I know that my mate was going to come around the corner of the cave right as she did? How did I know that was happening? What
mhm,
we have these abilities. We're not able to comprehend why this our brain capacity, our brain power. It's because we're not taught it in school, and anyone that does try and talk about it, we pigeonhole them into the crazy church lady with the flowing gown and the,
Hmm.
with birds and cats in her house, and she's nuts, and
Hmm.
and this guy's wearing rhinestone jewelry, and he's at a farmer's market, and he's crazy, and he's talking about consciousness and
Right.
ESP, I'm here to tell you from every story that I've heard, from the telepaths that have communicated with these beings, from people that have been abducted by these beings, from military and private contractors that have interacted with these beings, that all of that is just our brain, is the power of our brain that we just cannot that we're not able to understand why this is happening. I don't know why I dream. I would think my brain takes my experiences and try and collates it and makes a little movie for me at night. I don't know. I've never been taught why I dream and what the dreams completely mean in a scholastical a setting. It's always the fringe, the fringe esoteric teachings that will teach you and tell you what your dreams mean or why you have ESP. My wife and I did a
Mm.
remote viewing experiment that
Mm.
before we got married, a
Mm.
simple one that worked. She grabbed a magazine that was in her apartment and she looked at a picture. I was in another room, and it's a very quick story. And I'm like, I don't know. I see a cruise ship with porthole windows. I see a huge cruise ship, and she's quiet. I go in the other room. I'm like, what? And she had a book, a picture book of the Bible that I didn't even know she possessed. It was her son's, and it was Noah's Ark. So
Mm.
I've seen the power. I'm known with my friends and my business colleagues for knowing when people a lot of times will call me out of the blue. I'll think about a coworker or somebody from a colleague from my past that I haven't talked to in 7 months, and the phone rings and it's that person. I've given up, like calling my wife. Go, oh my God, it happened again.
Right.
It's just part of my life, and I know that I have a certain ability. And I know human beings have certain abilities that we don't understand, and it's okay. And I
Mm.
wish that we were could be and can be taught about the functionality of our brains in those esoteric avenues, because I think it would help us get away from watching football and in escapism things that the our iPhone and the media want us to do, and get in touch with who we are as human beings. I think that's really the journey, especially that I am on. Like, why am I here?
Hmm.
What can I do when I'm here? How do I cause the most impact positively? How do I make myself happy, which I'm a big
Hmm.
proponent of? Do whatever
Hmm.
you can to be happy.
Hmm.
And how do I help my family and my friends to also be happy and have a good experience, that we are on Earth, and that's not taught anywhere. And I think that it should, so we understand what the capacity of our brain is.
Right. Right. This whole conversation is not encouraged, basically. That's, you know,
No, you're a lunatic, you're a weirdo, so
right.
okay, so yeah, you keep it to yourself. You go and find others on YouTube that are like-minded.
Right. You listen to the podcast that American Alchemy and you go, damn, this shit is wild, man.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's not like society has done in the past. It relegates us to a subculture, and that is not the way you are going to have the human species go into the next level of our consciousness. And there's got to be a next level, because we're bashing each other over the head for a
Hmm.
$10 toaster. We are in this me generation.
Hmm.
It's immediate gratification.
It's regressed.
We totally regressed technologically. I can fly to Singapore in 20 hours. But I still, worry about somebody in a road rage shooting me in my car because I cut him off an accident because I'm not a great driver. I mean, so no, we're not, this, our planet has not reached that pinnacle, or that position on the road that is we are on the right track to taking us into the future. And I think that's why we have had a exponentially growth of UAP, alien UFO activity in the past 60 years. I think they're here to say they've got the technology. They've got the kids got the matches, as Jim Mars once said, a famed ufologist.
Mm.
But they're using it to light off firecrackers. They're not using it to cook with or to better humanity, if that makes sense. And I don't mean to be
No,
philosophical, but
no, no, no.
hey, folks, we are going to be going into a really interesting time in this planet. But I really believe that. So maybe it's time to direct some of your attention to, hey, what's going on here? I need to put my mind around it.
So about a year and a half ago, my then girlfriend, actually, we're married now, but
Congratulations.
thank you very much. Great girl. So lucky. It's amazing. If funny thing is, if we're going into this new paradigm, just before we did at 36, I got married. I met my wife, and so it's like a psychologically fulfilling thing to get, very helpful, maybe stabilizing thing. Because when I was
It
single,
is.
detour from my story, I would always and kind of depressed and doing my own thing and not growing really in any way for most of my 20s. I would probably welcome an encounter. Take beam me up,
Sure.
show me. But
Sure.
now oh no, I don't want it. I'm interested. I'm doing this interview. I'm drawn to it, but I'm I like to think again, it's that humility. I don't know. I don't want it the encounter, man. So life is good. Thank you so much. And so mm,
It's funny you said that because I tell people I've been in the Bigfoot community, believe it or not, because I'm a truth seeker. I want the
yeah,
truth on
right.
things. So, and I tell people, you really want to be in a deer stand, and you really want an 8 foot bipedal
Hmm.
hominid that weighs 700 pounds to be 10 feet away from you, looking up at you. You think about that.
Right.
You really want a 40-foot craft to come down in a field when you're in northern Minnesota at 12 at night, coming home with your buddies from from the bar or your hockey game. Think about what you're saying. You
Right.
really truly want to see a live extraterrestrial,
Right.
knowing that almost everybody that has encountered one is profoundly physically and spiritually completely rewired, sometimes not for the best. So it's funny that you said that, like, because I tell my wife all the time, I don't want to.
Right.
We have a summer home in Upper Michigan, and it's total forest and rural. I'm like, I don't want to see a craft ever.
No.
I don't want
No.
to experience. It's interesting that you said that we have the
So
same mindset.
those stories that people are not necessarily rewired for the better, do you think in most cases that's just because they just couldn't handle it or there was some bad intent?
No, I think that people just cannot handle. Again, going back, you cannot metabolize the fact that there is other life form. We have been indoctrinated since we were 6 months old. You are it. You're the top of the food chain. Little green man. It's a joke. It's a hoax.
Hmm.
We're it. We're the only ones in the universe. It's me, 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 me. And when you're told that for 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years, the shock of seeing a higher life form that can do things that are basically magic
Hmm.
is, and I'll say this again, an ontological shock. And I don't think a lot of people are prepared for it, no matter how kind and genuine the beings are to
Hmm.
the abductee
Hmm.
or to the military person or the contractor.
Mm.
It is just it is a profound shock to the makeup of what they think life is and in the order of life, and that gets rearranged like eggs in a blender, and it's very hard for people and especially I've heard this from people who are not abducted. The more the scientists, the contractors, and the military and intelligence people that I've talked to that have actually allegedly, and I hope people can appreciate that
Mhm, mhm,
this is all anecdotal, that have allegedly encountered a being in a setting where they're not being abducted. Their brains are rewired. Some get a sense of doom and gloom. Some get a sense of that it's demonic. Others are profoundly, genuinely, positively affected by the being. There
mhm,
is a brotherhood. There is a fondness of that being, a caring about that being, a feeling of being cared for back by the being. It's the entire gambit, and I think that's because some beings are just like human beings. You have the Jane Goodalls, and then you have
mhm.
the Somali pirate. I mean, and then everyone in between. And I think that's a perfect it's the gorilla in Africa with Jane Goodall and
Hmm.
and the poacher is the absolute perfect description of what we are experiencing. You get the good and the bad, and we get the good and the bad aliens too, extraterrestrials too, with different types of personalities and different wants and needs, and it's very hard for even highly scientific people, even more so. Someone once told me the higher the intelligence of the human being, the harder it is for that human being
Mm.
to grasp the concept of extraterrestrials are real because the ego deflation.
That's cruel. Yeah,
You
it's like
know,
a cruel thing.
right. You get Jon Stewart, the pro wrestler, and he sees an alien, and the alien is regenerating a body part, and he's communicating with thoughts, and he's able to warp time. And Jon Stewart, the pro wrestler, goes, "Oh, this is incredible." The
Right.
scientist that has for his entire life dealt with complex algorithmic or mathematical equations in physics, and he has shown things that he cannot comprehend. Their lives are destroyed, and I'm saying this like I'm telling you
Right.
inside information
Right.
that many of those scientists, their lives and their mentality and their marriages and their family lives are destroyed because of the massive ego inflation of one of the smartest people in the world to
Hmm.
I don't know anything. And that was now that it's in private contractors' hands, that was one of the big issues and problems with these unacknowledged special access programs of the government dealing with extraterrestrials, the biology and the equipment and the
Hmm.
craft and the metallurgy is the ego deflation. And there was a high attrition rate
Right.
with these scientists because they could not handle it. And I mean a high attrition
Attrition.
rate.
Right.
And then you have a Bob Lazar that comes around, and he's not a he's not a classically trained physicist, and it
He's
bothered
just got
him.
enough of the right stuff.
That's right. He got enough to understand what's going on, and he's been kind of okay for 35 years. Not, I'm saying it doesn't bother him, but his life doesn't get absolutely destroyed by his ego deflation. Maybe it was destroyed a little bit by the government, but
Hmm.
these scientists, their lives are destroyed, and it's sad, sad.
Unbelievable. Two final questions, and don't feel like you need to answer them at the same time, but I want to make sure I don't forget the second
Okay,
question because I think it's really important.
sure.
One is I want to ask you to tell me what you can about this impending event, and then I also want to ask the question: how can we, beyond our own discernment, decide who to trust when this new reality is unveiled, presumably, and we're shown this ecosystem that we're in? But the first question is, so I'm having lunch with this guy a year and a half ago, and it's my girlfriend and I, her girlfriend, and her boyfriend. The boyfriend worked for an aerospace defense contractor in Southern California, aerospace, machine learning. I'm like, oh, interesting, really. And he goes, by the way, I'm moving to Virginia to work for a different organization. I won't say more. And so, okay, interesting. So we have two drinks, and I say to him, am I crazy for thinking that aliens might be here? He goes, you're not crazy. And there'll be more I can tell you in 2026. So when imminent the book comes out and this narrative bubbles up, I go, shit, man, something may be up here. So what can you tell me?
I can't tell you much because I don't know that much. And I don't want folks, please, this is Jon Stewart, your retired pro wrestler, car dealer, not, creepy weirdo intel guy.
Right.
And I mean that sincerely. Um, I have now 11 men from private contractors to counter intel to military to intelligence that have advised me, helped me um, go through this process of figuring out the government's involvement with
Hmm.
extraterrestrials. And two of them, one specifically, asked two things. Didn't yell at me, didn't scream at me with a barrel of a gun pointed to my head. I'd like you to not talk about other species of extraterrestrials other than the grays, and no talking about future timelines, convergent timelines, the future, the project we had looking into the future. I do not want you to touch that. And for 6 years, I have held up to that bargain. And I don't think it was a big challenge. I think it was a let's give him see if he takes the hors d'oeuvre. He shows that we can trust him, so we can give him, bring him out to the main course.
Mm,
So I truly am looking at the camera and saying, I don't know what is going to happen in the future. And I've not been told anything completely specific about the future. I just would remind people, it seems to me, from our religious teachings and studying eschatology, the end of the world and whatnot, that it seems like beings arrive right before our impending doom, and they show up right after the event is over to
mm,
help us regenerate,
mm,
the earth. That's just my Catholic school upbringing, and whatever is going to happen, and I truly am looking into the camera, do not know. I have never been told anything
mm,
specific. It could be everything. It could be a comet. It could be an asteroid. My God, I don't think NASA is lying at times, or these observatories. We had an asteroid, I believe, 3 years ago that we had a 6 days advance notice. It popped, almost
mm,
basically like popped into the focal point of these observatories. So who knows what could happen? We are this little planet floating, at 70,000 miles an hour through at the edge of of our solar system and the edge of the Milky Way. God only knows what might be happening. I would look to the
mm,
I would look to the magnetic north and south. I think that to me, I would keep an eye on that. But I've had scientists tell me that the flipping of the poles could take 60,000 years. That we could
mm,
be in, year 20 of a 60,000 year reversal. And I would just keep my mind and my ears open. And as far as what people should do is, I think what feels good to you, as far as what is making sense. Is this something that is going to lead me to my safety and lead my family? Is this going to benefit my family? What are the ramifications of that? Whether that be AI, or folks, you all need to leave the East Coast or something. Like, I would be very objective and very analytical about what anyone is telling me, whether that be extraterrestrials or the government
mhm,
in the future. And I am talking what I personally believe. And again, I don't know what's happened in the future. All I know is doom and gloom, and the end of the world has been going on for 1,500 years, and and it's not completely happened. And uh, I will finish with this, and this might be a little scary, but I want to be honest with your viewers. Wars and pestilence and famines and cosmic disruptions and geological disruptions and tectonic plate movement and solar flares and immorality and pestilence and people killing each other, that has happened for millennia, folks. But the only thing that is truly unique with the past 60 years, and that has never happened in human history, only one time, which was Noah, and which describes in Genesis, where beings came down and they lusted and mated with the women of earth. You could, maybe that's a flowery description, but our genetic material was integrated with people
mhm,
on earth. That's how I break it down. So in Noah, Genesis, something came down from the heavens, integrated their DNA with the world, with the
mhm,
women of world, and our DNA was corrupted, and God entered the final edict of destroying the planet and those who had that were not clean, like the lamb for the Paschal sacrifice. And there was only one family that the Bible says was perfect in its generations, and that was Noah, who his DNA was not corrupted, I believe, and he survived. And Jesus said, "My second coming will be just like in the days of Noah." And again, there's only one thing that has ever happened in this world that has only happened in the days of Noah, that is happening now, and that is something coming from the sky and mixing their DNA with human DNA. And that does scare me. That does concern me, because i have I have almost scientific proof of something that was written 5,000 years ago, and it's true. It's never ever been it's never ever been recorded before of extraterrestrials mixing, having
So that's the
offspring with
difference.
humans.
Whereas
And it's
they've been
only
here
happened twice.
so they've
Noah
been
and
here
now.
for millennia. Their presence is nothing new, but there is a new thing, and it is what you just described, and that's
Correct.
concerning.
And it's Jesus says, and people are like, oh, Jon Stewart, aliens. Hey, wait a minute. It's your Bible, my Bible. You're following Christ's teaching. Well, what did Christ say before he died? I will come back. It will be just as the days of Noah. And only one
Mm.
thing happened in the days of Noah that has never happened in human history, that has been happening for 60 years. And that is the mixing of angelic, extraterrestrial, and human DNA. And I think people should keep their eyes on that. And I'm
Wow.
not really revealing a secret. I'm
Right.
telling you the Bible. And I
Right.
believe the Bible because it is completely accurate that only one thing happened in Noah that is uniquely distinct that is happening in the past 60 years. And this is these abductees saying, look, I was impregnated. My obstetrician said I had a baby in my womb, and the fetus was removed. The obstetrician said I didn't have an abortion, and he can't figure out how the baby was removed from my fetus. And this is going on and on. And we hear about hybrids and the beings, extracting semen and ova. Something genetically is going on. And that has never happened in time in memoriam except in the days of Noah. So I would
And it
be
could
I would be
be,
very aware of that.
and if we keep that at top of mind, and it could be that we are helpless victims, and we're gonna get the reset button hit on us because we're victims, or it's that there is. Could it also be that? um, Well, I guess you're open minded, so I'm going to say probably yes. But could it also be that they are trying to protect us from some cataclysm, uh, or is that not compatible with?
Sure, that's
with
possible. That something could wipe out a good portion of the world, and they've got a population ready to go. You have to be open to anything, to
But
everything. Of
more so, the former is where you were leaning to, where we're kind of victims in
course,
this.
we are. We're
That's
not at the
but
top of the food chain. You better start. I told Chicago TV, a radio TV station, this. Y'all better be, and I'm using my Southern college accent. Y'all better be,
mm,
have your egos in check. You are not at the top of the food chain. Understand that, and you'll be better off. You are not on top of the food chain. And the sooner you realize that and understand that, you're going to be a better person. You're
mm.
going to be a happier person. You're going to have more clarity in your life and your relationships. I tell everybody, forget about everything. Go Go be happy with your family. Go do something for a living that you want to do. Go take life by the brass ring. Stop worrying about cataclysms and this bald guy, Jon Stewart, what he said. Go be happy. Live your life, because people have been saying the end is coming for millennia and it's never happened. And I don't think it is going to happen. Is there something trying to upgrade our species? It's possible. And what are you going to do about it? I don't make sound, I don't want to sound helpless, but it is a little cosmic roll with the punches. Let's see what actually is happening, because all that's happening right now that we can prove is something's in our skies and the government isn't telling us the truth. That's all that I can prove.
Right. So let me just ask. So you don't think we should be feeling doom and gloom?
I don't. First of all, what does that do? What does that solve? And uh having a an outlook of, I am going to whittle this whole cosmic riddle down to myself and my family and my friends and my community. I'm going to be the best person that I
Mm,
could, so that if it does end, I can look at my creator and say I maybe not my whole life, but at the end, I tried to make the best of who I am and why you created me. And if that's not the case
mm.
either, then we have millions and billions of people trying to be better human beings. Aren't we winning? I
Right.
mean, I mean, I hate to wrap it up, and I'm not like this prophet, but billions of people just trying to be a little bit better of a human being, a better husband, better father, better wife, better neighbor. My God, that could be, think about this, that could be a byproduct of this extraterrestrial incursion, that it wakes us up It makes us look in the mirror. It makes us realize what's important, and
Hmm.
we take action, and we realize that what's important is what's in front of our face, our family, our friends, our neighbors, and ourselves. And we're going to be better people for this planet. And if that is the byproduct of metallic craft in our skies, fantastic.
Right.
Fantastic.
Right. Well, I could talk to you all day. Thank you so much for your time, and we could certainly take this into so many interesting directions, maybe another time, but
Absolutely.
your mind could go with the new world order conspiracies and the effect on politics is really what I'm
Yeah.
trying to say. It's fascinating and it's multifaceted, and we could chase those lines forever, but
Yeah. It was
I'll
really
let you.
great talking to you. I
Yeah.
would love to come back and speak with you. You're very intelligent. You ask great
Thank you.
questions, and I respect that.
Thank you so much. Well,
Yeah.
it's been an honor, man, and really appreciate it. So
Thank
look
you.
forward to the next time.
Thank you.
Take care.